So welcome to the Super Connect for Good MedTech finalist pitching session, which is a mouthful. I'm your lead judge, V. Mapunde from the NIHR Surgical MedTech Cooperative, and I've got my supporting judge here, Florian Hofsty from Hayes Amsterdam, and he's the regional manager actually for Hayes Amsterdam. So you would have heard us chatting a bit about our interests and things. I know Costa and Gemma want us to speed up and keep on time. So just as a reminder, all finalists is strictly 5 minutes. So apparently we can cut you off as soon as the clock hits 5 minutes. We'll try and give you subtle hints when there's 1 minute left. And then there's 2 minutes for questions. And then we'll move on to the next. We've got the second pitch. We've got a bit of a gap because the second company isn't able to pitch. So we've got a bit of slack in the system, but nevertheless, we'll carry on. So I'll introduce, I'll bring on Hannah Langert from AZ Med, and she's going to have 5 minutes to pitch. So let me just bring her on, and hopefully it works.
Hi.
Hello.
Good morning.
So can I share my screen? I think I can.
Yeah, I think you should be able to. Give it a go.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you when your 5 minutes starts.
Yeah. So can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen. Your 5 minutes starts now.
Okay. So hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm Hannah from AZ Med, and I will be presenting our AI technology. So AZ Med is a French startup of AI experts who propose deep learning algorithms applied to the analysis of medical imaging exams. Our aim is to answer a global healthcare challenge, which is the struggle for radiologists to keep pace with the surge in the number of medical imaging procedures. Medical images have doubled in 10 years, whereas the number of doctors has stagnated over the same period in Europe. So doctors waste a lot of time looking for fractures in X-rays that in fact don't exist, since more than 9 out of 10 X-rays do not show any signs of fractures. This led to an idea, which is RayVolve, an algorithm that would assist radiologists and emergency physicians so they could spend more time on what really matters, meaning the patient. AZ Med has developed RayVolve, a computer-aided diagnosis tool powered by AI to detect all types of fractures and 7 chest pathologies on standard X-rays. RayVolve was the first French AI medical device to be CE marked for trauma cases. Once a patient undergoes an X-ray exam, RayVolve spots the region of interest and presents the results directly on the doctor's screen. Predictions are automatically generated in less than 1 minute on their viewer, with no additional click needed. So to develop RayVolve, 3 years of research and development were necessary. Today, 3 million of X-rays were collected to train the algorithm and achieve successful performances. 3 radiologists are involved for each annotated image to obtain a reliable diagnosis. We are very committed to ensuring that our quality system is precise and is ISO compliant. So AZ Med was founded with the aim of improving working conditions for doctors. We develop solutions to optimize their workflow and contribute to improve the quality of care. Our clinical studies have scientifically validated the performances of RayVolve with a sensitivity of 96% for 86% specificity. Doctors make fewer diagnostic errors and are able to work more confidently and in better conditions. They are provided with an accurate safety net. In addition, when assisted by our algorithm, doctors' efficiency is improved as they gain on average 36% of analysis time and avoid 20% of errors. Through an optimized workflow, they can focus on more complex diagnosis. So this is what doctors see on their viewer today. And this is what their viewer looks like with RayVolve, where we produce a copy of the original image with a white frame that indicates the area where there is potentially a fracture. So we are very proud to count today more than 220 healthcare partners and to have a 90% transformation rate from trial to production phase. With our fracture and chest solution, we now cover more than 80% of X-ray volume. But we don't want to stop there. Soon we will cover 100% of X-ray volume, and we will focus on other modalities, such as MRI and scanner. So for our development and to finance our research for our algorithms, we need investors, and to increase our international visibility in many healthcare centers around the world. So we are today present in 12 countries, but we want this number to increase, which is why I'm here today. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Hannah. Yeah, thank you. Florian, I'll let you go first in terms of questions, and then I'll come back.
What I really like to know is just to get a picture a little bit clear. You are going to save the time of the persons who are viewing the X-rays by making sure they get seen or tracked if anything is wrong or not. So they don't have to watch all the pictures. It's really a time-saving solution.
It's a solution for to gain in precision and to save time, because most X-rays are in fact negative, meaning that they don't show any signs of fracture. So instead of looking at redundant and time-consuming exams, doctors are simply provided with a computer-aided diagnosis tool, which means that they are provided with help for their diagnosis.
So how does it work then in practice? If for example, there's no diagnosis for a fracture, are they still going to send and need to review the pictures they're going to send, sent, or is just said, okay, nothing found, keep carrying on?
So for each image analyzed, we produce a copy as seen here on the screen. And if there is no sign of fracture, a sentence saying no fracture detected simply appears. So we know also with our logo that the image was analyzed and is in fact negative. And if there is a fracture, a white frame appears and indicates the precise spot where the fracture is detected.
Nice, thanks. Fee?
Thank you for that, Hannah. And I think I know certainly from a healthcare perspective, it's probably a tool radiologists would really love in terms of clearing backlog and obviously in terms of capacity as well. So I'm just interested to find out whether so I noticed on your slide you said it's a first in France in terms of having an AI CE marking. What are your plans for the other European countries? Have you spoken to other healthcare institutions? Have you engaged with other radiologists?
Yes, we are present in 12 countries. So we are implementing our solution in an NHS actually, but we're having a bit of trouble because it's of course always a lot of administrative procedures with the NHS. And also we're quite successful in the Netherlands actually, because they really enjoy AI solutions. But yes, we have a CE Mark 2A. We're currently trying to obtain also the FDA in the US by conducting a clinical study there. It's a lot of administrative procedures, but now we are CE marked for our fracture solution, but also for our chest solution that detects 7 chest pathologies. So yes, we can deploy quite easily in Europe actually.
Nice.
Okay. All right. No, that's good. So that means at least you got a clear sort of path to market access. So just a final question before we wait for our next finalist is, if you were to win this segment, what would that mean for you? What would you do? What would that enable?
Well, I think this would mean a lot to us because first, we're a team of 25 research engineers, AI specialists, but we're all around 25 years old, so we're quite young, and we have a lot of perspective for the future. So I'm only 21 years old. I'm a biomedical engineering from Imperial College, and I mean this would mean a lot in terms of notoriety. Sorry, because yes, we need to be more influent on this market. There are a lot of huge industries like Google, and I won't name the others, but you know them probably. And yes, so this would mean a lot of notoriety in this market, but also visibility for the future, because we don't want to stop to X-rays. We want to invest in research for MRI, for scanner. So yes, this would mean more visibility for the future, if we win, of course.
Okay, no, that's brilliant. That's all the questions I have. But yeah, definitely, I know AI is slowly going to take over the world, especially from medtech. So yeah, very very good start. And yeah, I mean, all with the NHS, yeah, the admin processes are the admin processes, but I'm sure you come out the other end.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very much, Hannah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There we go. So first one down. Did I meet your expectations?
Yeah, definitely.
Quickly, yeah, 2 minutes before, yeah.
Definitely very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in terms of future development, I can definitely see in terms of expanding it to MRI and everything else, that will be where the more significant benefits will be realized. But a very good start. So thank you, Hannah. So we've got our next speaker. So that's Karina, and she's representing Be Nosy. So I just have to declare that I have spoken to Karina before, just purely just an introductory call. Because initially they thought we could support them, but because it's not quite surgery, then it's not something we're able to do. So that's the extent of my involvement in that. So that's just to let you know. So I think most of the questions I'll let you lead once again, because I sort of know everything she's asked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll bring on Karina.
Hello.
Hi, Karina.
Good to see you again. You too.
Good morning, Karina.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So are you ready? Do you want to set your screen up before I set the timer?
Of course. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Hello.
You're good to go.
Okay, our video is being a little bit slow, so I'm just not gonna waste our time. But essentially, the idea behind Nosy came to me because I noticed how much air pollution we are inhaling when we're going through our day. About 20 minutes in the London Tube is equivalent to smoking a cigarette, as it is 1 hour in your car. If you are not going to be drinking dirty water like this, why would you be allowing yourself to be inhaling dirty air?
Yeah,
So,
can I just pause you for a bit? Sorry, Karina. Let me just pause you for a bit. It seems we've lost Florian. Might just be his internet connection. Let me just send him a quick message. Because, as I said, I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're going to say, so it's quite important for him.
Of course.
Yeah. Let's see how long it takes for him to join. Just sent him a message. I'll just give him a couple more seconds, and then we'll probably have to carry on in the interest of time.
Maybe this is going to load now.
Oh, yeah, well, you can try and see if it... Oh, okay. No, Florian saying is, yeah, okay, carry on then.
Okay.
Yeah.
got a chance to see a little intro of what nosy looks like. But when we started looking at the stats behind what it actually means to be inhaling a cigarette every time you're in the tube, it means that 1 in 9 people nowadays are dying because of air pollution. That's the largest cause of environmental deaths worldwide. About 2.3 billion people suffer from hay fever, COPD, or asthma, which is just exacerbated by air pollution. And the number of air pollution towers worldwide is so small that I cannot even say. So we are not protecting people, and we don't actually have enough data in order to understand how air pollution, what is the real truth about air pollution around us. So when we're looking at nosy, we combine protection with understanding and also knowledge share. And that's by creating a device that actually protects you from airborne particles, allergens, etc. We then also leverage APIs from governments and also data from our wearable maskless sensors that we're currently building to create a map of what air pollution looks like. And we are looking to be building onto that data with AI to be predicting air pollution patterns and also how that may be progressing potential respiratory illnesses. We sold over 1,000 units. We have 70 distributor inquiries. We have 5 R&D partnerships across the UK, Canada, and the Netherlands. We have 3 investors. We have 183,000 in investment in grant funding, and we have been in hundreds of TV shows, blogs, articles, and magazine features. So when we talk to our customers, the main reason why they love nosy is because they can feel, people with hay fever or asthma, they can feel an immediate difference in the air that they breathe. And these are just some of the feedbacks that we have been receiving. We have a number of institutional partners, including the University of Portsmouth, Birmingham Hospitals, and University of Surrey, which we are currently applying for a grant with for UKRI to be tracking what air pollution, what nosy features are actually capturing, understanding what is in the air that you breathe over the course of a year, and then getting the medical certifications and redeveloping a product, which we are currently miniaturizing. So it's going to be 1/5 of the size of what you see on the screen. Our goal really is to actually have a significant impact in the world, because one of the main problems that we see with air pollution and respiratory health is the lack of understanding of what is actually people are inhaling and how the disease progresses over time. Often people only come when it's too late and their lungs have been damaged. So we hope that by actually tracking what people are breathing and providing that protection, we can then have the data to make the policy changes and the different decisions that people need to do in order to have protection. So if you have questions.
Thank you very much. Florian, I don't know, you might need to type if you can't, if the audio isn't coming through. Have you got any questions for Karina? Okay. Go ahead. Okay, I mean, oh, there we go. We're about to bring him back on.
You hear me now? You hear me now or not?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, because I've heard everything and I've seen the whole presentation, so I wasn't lost. I heard everything, so yeah. I think something went wrong over here. I'm just very curious about the because I think it's a really nice idea and it definitely can help. Who would be your target population or target people?
Of course. So when we first started, we did it with a fashion angle because it was COVID and we needed to stand out. Yeah. But after talking to our customers, about 60% of them are currently using nosy for hay fever and allergies. Mm-hmm. It's a blessing for them, and so we are really focusing on that. And asthma and COPD, we have a UKRI grant right now with the Portsmouth Hospital, where we're really looking at doing preclinical trials on top of doing an environmental study to see the benefits of nosy for asthma and COPD. In particular, I also have a number of meetings that we are running with the patient and public involvement group with Portsmouth Hospital as well, to learn more about the problems that they actually face on the day-to-day life and how we can incorporate that on an app that allows them to understand what air pollution is like around them and also track their symptoms. So some of the things that we are actually discussing right now about incorporating into our app is, for example, they can report different symptoms that they may have in a specific location because of the air that they have they were breathing. And a long-term goal for this is to potentially be providing these types of reports to doctors directly, so people can actually have an entire database that can be shared between the patient and the doctor. But this is a couple of years down the road.
Yeah, and how would that then be benefit the patient? So to speak, is there going to be advice from the doctor? Okay, because you are a little bit more vulnerable, maybe it's wise to.
Yeah, exactly. So the benefit for the patient is multiple. So one, you have protection, which without being asphyxiating, because obviously with the mask you have that humidity and the CO2 buildup. The second part is that they get notified when they are entering high air pollution zones, so then they can choose to put the nosy on or off. When they enter places, they can also be tracking how their symptoms are progressing depending of the location. So we hope that then they can make more informed decisions. And that way also they have better data that they can then be providing to their respiratory clinicians, who can say, okay, I'm seeing a trend here, when you go there, this is what's happening. And so what's the goal really is for them to have more preventative care rather than necessarily always be treating these illnesses with medication.
And what would be if you're getting a really big investment round, what would be the first thing you would be investing in?
Yeah, so we have 3 things that we are currently doing, and a lot of this I actually have bootstrapped myself, so I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah.
The first thing is that we are improving our MVP. This is the first version that we created, and we built a seal around the entire nose because we needed to get that airtight compartment, but now we're making it 1/5 of the size. We are developing seals inside of the nostrils a lot smaller, so then it can be easier and more discreet for people wanting to wear underneath a mask as well. So for us, the first thing is providing good, solid protection for people straight out. Then the other thing that we're currently building right now is the app. So we're doing a lot of customer research with the PPI groups for us to understand what people actually really want and what's going to be the most useful. And then we have the mask with sensors that we are currently building with the University of Waterloo in Canada. But that's the 3 priorities that we have.
Yeah. And what do you think would be the biggest obstacle for Nosy?
So far, the biggest obstacle has been money. It's just in terms of the amount of money that is required for us to develop and redevelop hardware in order to actually make it user-friendly. So when I began this, I always have been in the service industry. So I naively thought that I could launch an MVP and it would be okay and we could go into distributing at large scale. But I realized that our product still has some kinks that we need to make it more user-friendly, smaller, etc. Yeah. And so there is a R&D process that, because of the hardware component, is extended.
No, interesting. Can I maybe do a small suggestion?
Of course.
I think for future purposes, the biggest obstacle will be an actual physical mask around the nose and the face and people being watched with it. It's not possible to make a device which you can, the same as when you're deaf, which you can put into your nose maybe. And
that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's our B2, and we are launching that in the spring. So I didn't consider that one of the challenges because we are addressing it.
Yeah, because I think that could potentially be the biggest. People don't want to be physically shown. You always have a little bit of pride and quite sensitive around the characters being exposed with a facial thingy, because everyone can say, okay, there's something wrong with that person.
Yeah.
We can hide it and conceal it by having an application in your nose, for example.
I will have to move us on now.
Sorry.
We're already doing
A
that.
little bit enthusiastic.
Yeah, but you can follow it up in the chat, and
Yeah,
I have put
nice
in,
one.
I have put in a question for you, Karina, so in the Q&A bit, so you can have a look at that, and then you can also answer that. So I will remove you from the screen, and I'll add in our next person, Adam. Thanks,
Thank you, Karina. Sorry.
That's okay. Hi, Adam. Thanks for
Hi,
waiting.
Adam.
Yeah,
No.
so another declaration here. I know Adam very well. We've had several conversations with his company. So, Florian, I will leave you to do the questions at the end of this again.
That is correct. Nice to
Yeah.
see you, V, and everyone else.
Okay, so your 5 minutes starts now.
That's great. Thank you for this opportunity. We are taking on one of healthcare's greatest challenges, made worse by the pandemic. Our mission at CanSense is to diagnose the very earliest stages of cancer and even pre-cancer, saving more lives. Many of you have had similar experiences, I'm sure, to myself, with people they've cared about diagnosed with cancer, and some diagnosed, unfortunately, too late. We're offering an alternative future, looking to build back diagnostic services better, with an aim to significantly reduce the high levels of cancer mortality rates. Our patented technology is designed to detect in bowel cancer at extremely early stages, such that it is easily treatable and even curable, while significantly reducing the burden on the healthcare provider. Our award-winning team brings together business, clinical, technical acumen and is based upon over 7 years of working together. We're robustly supported by a wider advisory group, such as the Clinical Director for Cancer in Wales, and also with the help of this very competition, connecting us to business accelerators like OVH Cloud, Microsoft, charity organisations, and importantly, including Social Tech Trust, an organisation that has changed our way of thinking about our impact and even our business model. The problem is this: bowel cancer is the second biggest cancer killer. It's on the rise globally and rapidly rising in the under 50s. And yet 60% are still diagnosed at late stages with limited chance of survival. When if detected early, it is the most part treatable and even curable. Now more than ever, we need a more accessible at the GP and more acceptable testing for all, such that we can impact early detection, reducing mortality, affordable testing for all in our society, inclusion for the hardest to reach, diversity in addressing the inequalities and inequity within our society around testing and well-being. Patients tell us they're reluctant to see their GP, not wanting to do fecal tests or have colonoscopies. And the GPs are left trying to manage this risk, not wanting to miss cancers clearly, but just can't refer everyone in to secondary care, which has already been in capacity crisis with further backlog due to COVID. And the payers recognise the unmet need, but have huge budgetary constraints and challenges with innovation adoption. All of this produces the current situation of poor detection and poor survival. CanSense solution is a patient-focused, familiar blood test done at the GP, used as a tool to refer into secondary care those at highest risk and rapidly reassure those, most of us, that they don't have cancer. The value to the payer is key, a cost saving of 265 million in a reduction of colonoscopies, with further savings in late stage cancer treatments. The method is based on laser spectroscopic sampling of the blood, which takes less than 15 minutes, has no costly reagents, and produces a unique spectral fingerprint for the patient, which our AI model is then trained to identify those specific biomarkers associated with bowel cancer. Imagine, if you will, a barcode reader for the blood. We are a B2B service provider, so recognising that the NHS is still a tough place to sell to, we've developed a two-pronged route to market, continuing our clinical trials with GPs, but also working with pharmaceutical companies, adding real revenue into the business at the earliest possible moment. Furthermore, all providers are focused on value-based healthcare provision, and our cost-effective blood test fits well with this. Our vision is for our test to be used in general population screening globally, in regions that simply don't have any testing, in parts of India and Africa, creating the world we would like to see, where inequity of testing is reduced. Furthermore, we are already working on other cancers. Imagine a single pan-cancer blood test. And many companies, as you know, are working in this field, like Grail's Galleria project, with varying degrees of success for early detection and costing hundreds of dollars. Ours is a unique approach, diagnosing early in a quick and affordable way, offering real value-based healthcare provision. Excitingly, we've secured a letter of intent for 1.2 million of non-dilutive funding with the help of many partners. And we are looking for 1 million in equity funding, so we can achieve our 4-step strategy for adoption and scale over the next 36 months into the NHS, taking us from a centralized laboratory service provider to being an AI data center with integrated machines into path labs, with our first adoption site within the NHS being identified with a letter of intent. Finally, our partners, now friends, have come with winning awards like Hayes and MPEC Ventures, which have connected us with major business accelerators like Microsoft and Social Tech Trust, partners like NIHR, CR UK and Bow Research UK, enabling us to connect with over 200 stakeholders and potential customers globally. And finally, they've supported us in obtaining validation by winning a significant non-dilutive funding award. I'll finish there, and please reach out if you'd like to be involved with our journey, and I'll take questions there.
Thank you, Adam. Florian,
Thank you. Thank you. I have a question, Adam. It is based on technology which is using blood tests, yeah?
Yeah, so it's based on laser spectroscopy of a blood sample, correct?
Yeah. So who's taking the blood samples then?
So it would be done, as we envisage it, at the GP surgery, probably by a nurse that then can take it away like any other blood samples to then be analysed.
And regarding then the accessibility, because I think the normal way in just speaking about the Netherlands now is that you can make quite easily an appointment at your doctor and take a blood sample, and they can analyze everything you like. How do we see it? How do I see this in that spectrum helping? How does it make me or a person go really easily to
well, I think
the solution, if you know what I mean?
Sure. I think there's a couple of things around that. I think people are struggling with stigma, certainly in this country, but more generally around bowel health. I think having an opportunity to do a blood testing rather than thinking of a fecal test or a colonoscopy may bring them in to do a blood test rather than those. And furthermore, I think in terms of the logistics, if you like, obviously doctors' surgeries take many blood samples. We envisage being able to have some blood taken for us to then send to a laboratory initially to be analysed, and then reported back straight to the GP, which should take 24 to 48 hours turnaround. Compare that to other testing, which takes a lot longer.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah,
those are the kind of key aspects. But we would like to change that into an integrated method where we take those blood samples and send them on the same path as other blood samples would take to hospitals, and they can analyze them and compare with our AI data center.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Yeah, that would be very helpful. And what's the next? What is going to be the next step in the next phase for the company?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, having the letter of intent, which is that non-government support in taking us from being a spin-out company with great technology to actually then develop that technology even further in a safe and regulatory framework is the next big thing. And really, to do that, you need this bridging gap finance that enables us to actually tackle some of the assay development and also obviously the regulatory hurdles.
Nice. Great. No questions anymore, Fee. Do you have any questions extra? You're on mute still. You're on,
I've forgotten about that. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and I was going to say we need to move on to our next one, but if there's any additional questions, I'll just pop them into the Q&A So keep an eye out on the Q&A bit. But thanks.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Yeah, great. Thank you,
for your
Adam.
time.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
So next is another Adam for Diab Trend.
Hey, good
Hi,
morning.
Adam.
Good morning.
How are
You
you?
want to set up your screen? Yeah, we're fine. Thank you. Okay, I shall start the timer now. Your 5 minutes starts now.
All right. So, hi again. I'm Adam Kierer from Diab Trend, Diabetes Management with AI, and I'm the CMO of this startup. And as you can see after our name, we work with diabetes. So let's see the problem in a nutshell. So currently we are focusing on Europe, which has 60 million diabetic overall, but that number worldwide is more than 422 millions. This data is from 2016, and it has a 4% growth rate. So soon we will reach 500 million worldwide. So about the symptoms, after you are diagnosed, you have to follow strict rules every day according to your eating, sleeping, your daily activity. And beside that, you have very high risk to develop some complications, unfortunately. So that requires a lot of care every day, which affects you in a bad way. Like you have a lot of stress because this reduces your life quality, and unfortunately in most of the time it reduces your lifetime expectancy by up to 15 years. So what does it mean? In every year we lose 3.7 million people because of the complications, and this number should be reduced by 3 million. So 80% of these people could be saved if we just follow these very basic things. The biggest problem with diabetes is the food logging. That's the biggest struggle. There are two main ways how people do this. Like either they eat kind of the same food every day, so they know the nutrition data by heart. They know the portion by heart, so it makes it a bit easier to count carbs. Or you just use database, a lot of paperwork, and you count all the time before you eat something. There's a big issue, delayed gratification. Like you must invest up to 20-30 minutes per day in diabetes management, and you might feel that the reward will come only when you are old, so you will have maybe 10 more years, but you have to sacrifice your time in the present. And unfortunately, if you don't do the monitoring well, you can enter frequently these danger zones like hypo and hyperglycemia when your blood sugar level is just too high or too low. And these are the real destructive periods when your body is damaged, and that causes that you live less. So we are Diab Trend, an AI-based monitoring and diary for diabetic people. And what we do, we reduce this time what you have to invest in your management. What is the real good diabetes management? You have to follow the treatment of your healthcare professional. You have to eat a healthy diet and count your carb intake precisely, and you have to do physical activities at least 30 minutes per day. So it's basically like the key of a healthy life. Everyone should live like this. In fact, we know how to do this. It's just how can we do it in a manageable way? This is the real question. So that's why we created this application that tries to make life really easier for diabetic people. So it fits into your everyday life. It makes the whole process faster. It integrates with other devices like your glucometer or your health apps. And our aim is to create a long-term habit which can keep people motivated. So our most powerful feature is the food recognition. So you don't need more database. You don't need counting, or you can get your freedom back. You just use your camera. We tell you after approved database what is probably on your plate, what is the portion, what is the size of it, and we calculate your carb intake in a second. We already recognize more than 1,000 foods, and we want to expand this number so we can localize it more in different countries. The other one is speech recognition.
Adam, the 5 minutes is up. Could you just quickly wrap up so we've got enough time?
Obviously. Thank you very much. So with integrations and prediction, we can really avoid the danger zones and make life more manageable with diabetes, and you can save a lot of time. So we are in the growth phase right now, and that's why we are seeking partners and investors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. So I guess one sort of question from me is, now I think it's a great thing as someone who lives with someone who's got diabetes. I'm very much aware of all the problems that you mentioned and the challenges involved in that. So I guess, a quick question from me is, what really differentiates your system from all the others that, for example, people could download off an app store or Google Play? What's the main differentiator?
Yes, we integrate all the awesome features that our competitors have. For example, none of them has food recognition system and portion estimation system, which calculates the carbs, what you have in your plate. So that makes the whole process real faster and less annoying. And what I told, either you just eat the same food. This is a method for many people, which is not healthy, which is not good for your life quality, or you just invest a lot of energy and time to count all the time individually. So this is what we can solve, for example, but also with voice recognition, with all the integrations, with your health apps, the connection with your health professional. This is a whole package, and none of our competitors has this yet.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Adam, I have a question about that food recognition part. How does it technically work? How can it calculate the food size of the portion? How can you estimate that on a picture?
I can tell you. So we created approximately 100 pictures of each and every food that we can recognize. So on all the pictures, we have measurements, like we exactly know the size of the portion, and all the portions has a different size. So our system could understand the small differences between the portions. So it can give you a quite good estimation, which is better than any human estimation by heart.
And how would it then be in the future for the food recognition? There are so many types of food, the ways they've been created, in what way it's cooked, or in one way it's baked, which oil you use, that kind of stuff. How can you possibly be up to date with that? Because I think that's going to be a lifetime development.
That's a great question. There are two important parts in this question. First of all, like you would be surprised. There are a lot of foods, but many of the people eat just a very small percentage of these kind of plates. So we already cover the basics. The other thing, like there are many food what you can buy in shops, it's already like all the nutrition data is available, so it's very easy. They have brands, so it's very easy to recognize them. And the other thing is that we will open our system to our customers, to people who use us, to make their own photos and teach the system by themselves, which will be very powerful.
Oh, nice. And last thing I'm going to say, maybe an interesting advice to think of. You see a lot with creating recipes and that kind of stuff, and what I hear a lot from you is that there is quite single. People are used to eat the same all the time when they have diabetes. Is it not nice to add some recipes towards the app as well to diversify the type of meals?
Thank you very much. And Florian, that's our next feature.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Thank you, Adam. I've popped a question for you in the Q&A, so you can just obviously respond to that at your leisure. But thank you very much for your pitch.
Thank you very much.
Okay, cool. So next we're going to have George from Medicive, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Hello there.
Yeah. Hi. You want to share your screen for us, please?
Yes, I shall share my screen. So I should be able to do that. Does that come through for you?
Yep, it does.
Excellent, wonderful. So thank you very much for the invitation here today. My name is George Frodsham. I am the founder and CEO at Medicive, and I'm here today to tell you about our magnetic blood filtration technology and how we can use this to revolutionize the treatment of blood-borne diseases. And the problem that we are trying to solve here is that many clinical conditions are caused by or exacerbated by something that circulates in the patient's bloodstream. And this covers a whole lot of different areas in oncology, in autoimmune diseases, in infection, chronic pain. And there is no technology today that enables doctors to identify a specific thing in blood and then to pull that thing out in order to address very specific clinical problems. And that is what we're trying to solve. We want to provide doctors with a tool that enables them to remove anything from the bloodstream specifically, thus revolutionizing extracorporeal therapies and more broadly the treatment of many different diseases. And we do this with a platform extracorporeal therapy, which I will be telling you about. Quick overview of where we are. We have completed preclinical studies and are ready to do our clinical trials for our first product, which is for the removal of IL-6. That first product has a total addressable market of over £20 billion worldwide, and we are looking to raise £4.25 million to support our pivotal clinical studies, of which 1.75 million is already secured. And that money is going to be used to validate our magnetic blood filtration product. An extracorporeal therapy is similar to dialysis in that we circulate a patient's blood outside of the body through what's known as an extracorporeal loop. Into this loop, we infuse the Medicive magnetic beads. These seek out and bind specifically to the targets that we want to remove from the bloodstream. Our magnetic filtration system then captures those beads and all of the things bound to them, ensuring that they do not return to the patient. Using this method, we can remove practically anything from the bloodstream, one or several targets at the same time in a very, very rapid period. We interface with current existing hospital equipment, so we do not require hospitals to purchase new hemofiltration devices. We've done a lot of validation on this product, and suffice to say, it is highly efficient, highly effective, and highly specific. We are, as I was saying, about to enter clinical trials. Over the coming years, you have the opportunity to join in a really exciting moment of development for the company. We are going to be performing clinical proof of safety and concept next year with a CE mark expected in Q2 of 2023, leading us to first sales in Q1 of 2024. I mentioned we've already closed £1.75 million a few months ago. I'm looking for a further 2.5 million to lead us on this journey to the end of 2023, when we will get our Series B done. There is huge market potential for this product. I already talked about the £20 billion worldwide for IL-6 removal, but more broadly, we're looking at applications in leukemia, autoimmune diseases, viral infections, preeclampsia, and many, many others. Just for our IL-6 product across key markets in EU and the US, we're talking about over 3 million hospitalized patients who could benefit from this therapy. Many of these patients today have no options, and up to 30% succumb to their disease. This is a unique and novel approach with significant competitive advantages over what is out there today. Essentially, you can think of what we do as an extracorporeally delivered antibody therapy, in that just like an antibody therapy, we are able to target specifically one thing in the bloodstream that is causing a problem, but we never inject that into the patient. We use this technology to remove those harmful substances, providing significant advantages over antibody therapies. This is a highly controllable therapy that in the future can enable personalized medicine for some of the most complex patients in hospitals and critical care units today. We have a fantastic, experienced and diverse team working on this project with experience in science, in clinics, in regulatory affairs, and in commercialization. And we're looking to expand this team right now today and over the coming couple of years. We've had a lot of validation, including over £4 million of grants from Innovate UK, the EU, and other organizations to supplement the investment that we have received so far. Thank you very much for your time. I've been George Frodsham, telling you about Medicive and magnetic blood filtration, a platform technology with huge potential market and patient impact. First product is for the removal of IL-6 to treat acute hyperinflammation, and we're looking for £4.25 million of investment, with 1.75 million already secured. Thank you very much for your attention, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you, George. Right on time, 5 minutes. Florian, you want to go first?
No, you go first, V.
Okay. So yeah, so thanks, George. I mean, I've got a vague awareness of Medicive. I think I came across one of your stands back in the days when you were allowed to do exhibitions and things. So I might have come across that. But I think it's really brilliant. You know, the concept that you're looking at is really brilliant. And what I actually like about it is it's got the potential to include a whole lot of different populations as well.
Yeah.
Because it's across the board. So I know moving forwards, that's what a lot of sort of payers and providers will be looking at, is how inclusive it is, whether it's going to treat a wide range of people and a wide range of diseases. So I just wanted to find out whether you'd involved any patient groups at all, you know, what your involvement with patient groups has been.
So we have some connections with the UK Sepsis Trust and also with some NGOs in the malaria space. And that gives us a little bit of an insight into the patient groups. But the truth is our focus has really been on the clinicians and understanding exactly what they need in these specific environments. Our first product does target patients who are in critical care units. So it's essential that we interface with the hospital's existing infrastructure and their existing work plans. So that's been our focus so far. But now that we're extending into clinical studies, obviously the patient involvement, patient information, and patient comfort is a huge, huge part of that.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Florian?
I'm very, do you have probably any idea what time it's going to cost to help the treatment of a patient? So
the target treatment time is 2 to 4 hours. And our preclinical data, which I flashed quite quickly on the screen there because 5 minutes is quite short, shows that we're going to be able to achieve a logarithmic level of reduction in these targets within that time frame. For most patients, we expect that a single intervention will be sufficient. But depending on the individual patient, it is absolutely possible to have multiple interventions. These are patients who typically spend about 8 days in critical care units and up to 20 days in hospital. And one of the key clinical outputs that we're looking at is actually shortening that time. So this is a life-saving intervention, make no bones about it, but it also has a number of other benefits in terms of reducing patient suffering, symptoms, and actually translates to overall reduction in average cost for the treatment of those patients through a reduction in critical care unit time.
Nice, thank you.
Particularly relevant for COVID, by the way. IL-6-driven hyperinflammation has been a major driver of COVID mortality, and this is something that could have gotten patients off critical care units much faster, and that obviously would have had a huge impact in this pandemic. It really is a technology that provides value across many stakeholders.
I wish you were on the market earlier.
Hey, me too.
Okay.
We're working on it. Give us money and we'll get there sooner.
Thank you very much, George. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I'm
thank you,
available
George.
today for any questions. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Cool.
Okay, yeah, we'll probably post something later on in the Q&A for you. But thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Okay, just waiting for the next one. I mean, we've got Chris Young. He's supposed to be the last company. I might as well start him off whilst we wait for the others. Hi, Chris.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, we're okay.
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Yeah, you want to share your screen and then we can get you on.
Okay, so you can see my screen, I presume.
Yes, we can. Yeah. So
Excellent.
your 5 minutes starts now.
Thank you very much for your time today. Just to give you a very brief introduction to the company, we are a Danish company. We're based just outside of Copenhagen. You're probably wondering where my accent comes from. I am actually the only UK employee. So we have about 100 staff in Denmark and 1 in the UK. So it's basically my job to try and commercialise this product into the UK healthcare market. So just to give you a little bit of insight into the problem, there are approximately 600,000 people in the UK with epilepsy, and 30% of those struggle to get their seizures under control. That would be known as refractory. Their quality of life is amongst the lowest compared to other health conditions, and self-reporting of seizures form the basis for treatment decisions. Now, this is known to be highly unreliable. Essentially, doctors and clinicians are relying on manual seizure diaries in order to make clinical decisions, and really the information they're getting is known to be deeply flawed. So at this moment in time, doctors have 2 kind of ways of diagnosing epilepsy. You have routine EEG, which would last for roughly 20 to 30 minutes in the hospital, and long-term EEG, which would be somewhere between 2 hours and 14 days. And this is all hospital-based. And at that time, patients are wearing, around about 26 of the scalp electrodes on their heads. So really, it's quite kind of invasive to their privacy, and it's certainly not something that you would want to be seen wearing outside of the hospital setting. And again, routine and current long-term EEG, they're quite limited in time, and they don't show real events. Everything is within the hospital, and perhaps the patient could be sleep deprived, or perhaps even feel pressured to have a seizure. So what we are bringing to the healthcare market is an ultra long-term monitoring device, and that can be worn by the patient very discreetly for up to 15 months. So this would be used to kind of close the knowledge gap when routine or long-term EEG of the patient self-reporting are not enough, and there's doubt over how many seizures the patient is having, or whether or not they're actually seizing. So you can see here, this chap is actually wearing the device here. So as you can see, it's very discreet. So this is what it looks like. It comes in 2 parts. So this part here is the implant, and this is placed subcutaneously, just underneath the skin. And then this is the recorder, and this is worn by the patient. As long as this is switched on, then it's recording EEG. So this is how you attach the recorder. It's very simple, and it's just worn under the clothes, and you use a magnet to do so. So in terms of the implantation procedure, as I've mentioned, it's placed subcutaneously just behind the ear. It takes a surgeon approximately 15 minutes to perform the procedure. It only takes around a 2-centimeter incision, and then the implant is placed in with a kind of introducing needle. It's all done under local anesthesia, and it's a day case. So after the stitches are removed, the data recording can begin, and the patient goes home. Reading EEG is historically and always known as a very laborious task. So if a patient has, or a clinician has perhaps 1 month's worth of EEG to read through, that would be impossible. So this data reduction algorithm essentially takes out 99% of the work, because it really pinpoints exactly for the clinician where a potential event has taken place. So all they have to do is go onto the software and they can see when a seizure has taken place. As I've mentioned, it's designed for use in everyday life. Studies are showing that no patient felt constrained in their work or free time activities. The patients found the recorder easy to use and operate, and only minor annoyances were identified, such as the positioning of glasses or wearing clothes at night. But in general, patients are actually very high adherence, with an average patient wearing it for around 18 hours on average, some higher, some a little bit lower. Let me just give you a very quick patient case. This is from a study in Denmark. Sorry?
You got 10 seconds.
Okay. So this patient was reporting 1 to 2 seizures per month. This is exactly when she wore the ultra long-term device, what her seizures looked like. So the two blue lines are where she said she had a seizure, and the red crosses are actually her true seizure count. And I think I'm out of time. Okay.
Yeah, you sure? You want to
end Can I still go through this? This one slide?
Literally quickly, yeah, if it's one more slide.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure, one more slide. So basically, what are the potential impact for the clinician? Well, the clinician gets increased and reliable insights into the patient's condition and the ability to make faster treatment decisions. The patient experiences real life monitoring away from the hospital setting, so they're able to live a normal life and have much better empowerment over the disease. And for the healthcare system, early economic models are indicating potential cost savings through reduction of hospital resources. So patients aren't turning up to A&E, being admitted. Some of these patients are turning up 90 times a year. So by wearing this device, lots of experts think that they could actually reduce this by around 50%. And it also aligns with the need for increased remote care within the NHS. So I'll leave it there. I'm sorry I went over time, but I'm really happy to answer any of your questions.
Okay, so thank you, Chris. We'll probably ask more questions in the Q&A, but I think just a quick one from me is, I mean, it's a good concept, and I like the fact that you can sort of remotely monitor patients, sure, and then actually get a very good understanding of that. Have any comparator studies been done with this, or is that the plan at some point?
Yeah, so we actually have, so within the UK market, we've actually implanted now around about 15 patients down in King's College in London. We also have a study over in the Netherlands in Twente as well. We're going for FDA approval. There's been studies done in Denmark. So the studies are showing that this is feasible, it's well tolerated, and that the device is actually capturing many more seizures than the patients are reporting, which is allowing the clinicians to make much more better decisions on their treatment. So if a patient is saying they're having 3 seizures per month, but actually they're having 20 seizures, and the clinician is able to see that much faster and more accurately, then they can then adapt their treatment regimen to that, or change the drug that they're on, give them less drugs perhaps if they're having less seizures than the patients are reporting, because patients are not good at recording seizures. Sometimes they don't know they're having the seizure. Now, there's other devices out there that can be worn, but most of these are actually based on movement, you know, like a tonic-clonic seizure, so maybe a watch. But in fact, the seizures that we really need to look at are what's called focal seizures, where the patient isn't aware that they're having them, and they perhaps only last for 10 or 20 seconds.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Florian, time for just one quick question.
Yeah, more from a practical perspective. Yeah, the device is implemented in the head with a long pin. It's connected with a wire towards a magnetic thing you can carry on.
Yes.
How is it practically going with the wire, and you know, can't it get stuck and that kind of stuff?
No, so again, it's very similar to what you're wearing in your ear, but it's obviously just on the one side. You know, the studies are showing that patients don't find that it's hindering their everyday life, and they can take it off if they want to do an activity like showering or swimming or something like that. But essentially, that's fine, because if you're still getting 18, 19 hours a day for a period of 3 or 6 months, then it's just way more data than the clinician usually gets, and just the patient knowing that they're being monitored gives them real empowerment. But just to let you know, Florian, actually the next generation, which will be available in maybe 18 months' time, will actually be wireless, and it will look more like a little kind of hearing aid behind the ear. So that is the next generation device. But at this moment in time, we're working with the wired device, which patients have accepted very well.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Thanks a lot,
If
guys.
any more questions, we'll post them in the Q&A, but thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to have Kasim Akhtar from QV Bioelectronics. So I have spoken with Kasim before, so I'm very familiar with their technology. So this is more for you, Florian, in terms of the questions. So Kasim, are you able to share your screen, or?
Can you hear me? I'm not. For some reason, my camera's not showing. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We can hear you.
That's fine. I'll just have to show just my screen, unfortunately. Can you see this here?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Okay. Great stuff.
Now.
Thank you. So, this cancer is considered one of the deadliest cancers, and that is the cancer of glioblastoma. A diagnosis of glioblastoma hits patients in the prime of their lives, and this terminal brain cancer wreaks devastation to patients and their families. And what's worse is that although huge strides have been made in cancer outcomes overall, outcomes for glioblastoma have remained virtually unchanged for decades. And even with intensive treatment that involves chemo, surgery, and radiotherapy, the 5-year survival rate still hovers at around 5%. And that was the case until a new technology came along in 2015 called Optune, which delivered a new form of therapy called electric field therapy. Electric field therapy works by applying specific frequencies of electrical currents to a patient's head, which then interrupts with cancer cell division, helping to extend the patient's life expectancy, which is of course fantastic. And in this case, it more than doubled the 5-year survival rate to 13%. And what was even better was that if patients wore the Optune device around the clock for more than 22 hours a day, their 5-year survival increased to 29%, which is a ginormous leap within the space of glioblastoma. So obviously you'd think every single patient would be doing this, wearing it for 22 plus hours a day. Oddly, despite this patient group being desperate for new treatment options, of those who did get access to Optune, less than 10% actually used it for 22 more hours a day and were reducing their likelihood of surviving after 5 years. So the obvious question is why? Well, when we see the device itself, it's clear to see that Optune has a huge effect on patient quality of life. Patients spend up to an hour a day correctly applying the gel pads to their head, and they have to carry a 3-kilogram backpack with them all day with batteries that only last a few hours. Not only that, but it doesn't give patients any sense of privacy. If you're a patient with limited time left, do you want to spend your remaining time out in public with people staring at you and making it obvious to everyone that you're ill? The real kicker with this device is that it's listed at $21,000 a month. Far too expensive for most people, and a cost far too high to be available on the NHS. So what this shows is that there's a clear gap for an accessible electric field therapy that doesn't force patients to compromise between extra time with their loved ones and their quality of life. At QV Bioelectronics, we're addressing this gap with our completely internal electric field therapy device, which is implanted within the same existing tumor removal surgery. Our device, Grace, as we call it, treats patients at the local site where cancer regrowth happens 90% of the time. This allows us to miniaturize the battery to one that can be fully implanted to one similar used in deep brain stimulation devices to treat Parkinson's patients, which have history as far back as the 1960s. Our secret sauce is a conformable electrode, which is personalized to the cavity of each patient. And once implanted, it will deliver pain and side effect-free treatment continuously. And as we're delivering treatment continuously, we can allow 100% of patients to be treated 24/7, increasing their 5-year survival rate to 29% without affecting their quality of life. Since being founded in 2018, and after winning $50,000 in first place cash prize as part of the University of Manchester's Graphene Enterprise Award, we have also joined the 2019 cohort of the world's largest accelerator in Rebel Bio. And since then, we've also won grants from both the NIHR for their Eye for Eye Connect Award and Innovate UK to further develop the technology. The outputs of which led to our first fully developed experimental prototype, which we then followed up later to help us raise a VC-led round, which we closed and announced in July this year. With this funding, our team has now grown to a full-time team of 6 alongside a set of highly experienced commercial advisors and a prestigious clinical advisory board made up of some of the UK's leading neurosurgeons. The next step will be for us to get some more large animal pilot data before first-in-human clinical trials in 2024. And then after that, we'll be looking for our first regulatory approval for commercial launch post-2028. This would usually be the time I would tell you about the market opportunity, but for us at QV Bioelectronics, our main goal is to provide an accessible treatment for patients who have been lacking one for so long, to ensure more fathers, mothers, grandparents, aunties and uncles don't have to sacrifice their quality of life or their dignity for extra time with their loved ones, and that this treatment is available to anyone regardless of background. Thank you.
Thank you, Kasim. Bang on time. Florian, go ahead.
Very interesting. I'm really curious, what does it need? Besides, of course, the growing scale and going to market in 2028, what does it need to make it accessible for everyone in the future?
Do you mean in terms of the sort of operational support structure?
Yeah.
So in order to do that, because this device is implanted, we'll need to partner up with academic neurosurgical centers. They're the centers that carry out the glioblastoma removal surgeries. Make sure we're partnered with the top clinicians, the key opinion leaders in those centers, and have them trained on how to utilize the device, and then provide clinical support specialists who will be within the operating theatre with them, helping them and guiding them in the process of delivering the device. But this will be delivered through those centers, which allows us to scale it up a lot easier compared to Optune, the competitor, which is delivered through a direct-to-patient model, which means the company who make it, Novacure, themselves actually deliver the entire care process.
And I've seen that your competitor, or at least the current option, is already, it's a big instrument, quite time consuming, but also extremely costly.
Yeah.
How, besides the size of the device and the way it's just been implemented instead of added on to the body, would it be cost-wise compatible, and how you've got any idea already how the health insurance companies would embrace it?
So for that current device, it's got 90% approved health insurance approval from the biggest private healthcare provider in the US. However, it has met with some resistance, mainly due to the quality of life issues I've spoken about, and because it's generally is very costly to deliver as well. You've got to think about all of these moving parts. It's basically 2 suitcases full of equipment that's given to the patients. Whereas for us, the actual cost, the bill of materials we're using is actually quite cheap. A lot of the components of our device already exists in off-the-shelf components, like the battery and the cranioplasty. The main bit is our electrode, the central part. That's the innovative part of it. But that itself, in terms of the actual costs, isn't that expensive. The main fee for us is implanting it, the surgeon's time to do so.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay, great. Thank you for your answer.
Yeah, thanks, Kasim. I mean, we've obviously spoken at length about this, and I mean, it ticks many boxes from our perspective.
Yeah.
I think the greatest thing there is the possibility of actually improving patient outcomes, which is what healthcare systems will be more interested in.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be able to work together on proving that and demonstrating that particular need. So thanks once again.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
See you
Bye.
later. Okay, so we're supposed to have had 2 other pitches, but they haven't. Oh, there's one guy. Ignacio's come. Speak with the devil.
Hi.
Hi, Ignacy.
Sorry, it wasn't aware that I had to share my screen. So, well, here. I was here for a really
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, because we can know once you share your screen, then we know to add you on. If you don't do that, then we can't.
Yeah,
we don't think
sorry
you're
for
there.
that.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, so just share your screen, please, and
Yeah,
then you've got
sure.
5 minutes.
Here we are. Okay, let me do the full screen.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, good morning. Thank you very much for this opportunity today. I am Ignasi Belda from Barcelona, CEO of My Window Solutions. Well, colorectal cancer is one of the main health burdens in the world. Actually, it is the first most common cancer in many countries in Europe, and there are almost 2 million new cases per year worldwide. Unfortunately, the 5-year survival rate is about 50%. The reason for that is that the current gold standard for diagnosing colorectal cancer, colonoscopy, is not very efficient. Actually, 22% of the polyps are missed in a regular colonoscopy, and this means that almost 8% of the cancers come from a negative colonoscopy. To solve this problem, at My Window, we have been working on developing a new technology based on microwave imaging. So with microwave imaging, we have built a miniaturized radar that we can attach at the distal end of any colonoscope. And with this, we can provide a field of view of 360 degrees to the medical doctors. In addition, we automate the malignancy detection, and we can differentiate very well from healthy and malignant tissues. Everything with safe radiation, low cost, and without changing any clinical practice. The last months, we have been working on testing our technology. We did a preclinical experiments with samples coming from 15 patients, and we demonstrated 100% sensitivity and 100% specificity. We also tested our technology with porcine models, demonstrating no adverse events, intercompatibility with colonoscopy, and of course, great maneuverability of the colonoscope. We are in front of a market of more than 20 million colonoscopies per year in almost 17,000 hospitals in Europe, US, and Japan. This means a market of more than 1 billion euros per year. During these months, we have been discussing our technology with several medical doctors and key opinion leaders in the field, actually 35, and we are in tight contact with companies manufacturing colonoscopes like Boston Scientific, Olympus, Fujifilm, etc. This is our current roadmap. We are about finishing the preclinical studies with the porcine models, and very soon we are starting to ask for the legal permissions, legal authorizations to start our first clinical trials in humans that hopefully will start in early 2022. To do all this, we raised 4.5 million euros from competitive public grants, but also private investment. And we are planning to organize a Series A in 2023 of 2 million euros. This is our competitive landscape and other companies working in the field. The comparison of our technology with the rest is that we can provide a 360 degrees field of view. We provide automatic detection of malignant tissue. And according to our preclinical studies, we hypothesize that our adenoma detection rate will be of 20%. Anomatation rate actually is the most important parameter to compare these kind of technologies. Our business model is to sell disposable accessories to hospitals via distributors, and first sales will start in 2024, and the payback period will be of 3.5 years after first sales. Actually, this is a very hot market, and big companies manufacturing colonoscopes are acquiring many companies developing new technologies that improve colonoscopy results. Just to give a couple of examples, Boston Scientific acquired EndoChoice for $210 million, and Ambu recently acquired Invento Medical for 225 million euros. This is our team of founders and engineers. The team is led by my colleagues, Marta Guardiola, she's the founder and a very experienced engineer in microwave imaging. My other colleague, Dr. Gloria Fernandez, she's a medical doctor with more than 25 years in gastroenterologist, and myself, who is a serial entrepreneur in life sciences. And in the right side of the screen, you have all the technological partners and clinical partners that are helping us in this interesting journey. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Ignacy. Right on time. So thank you for that. I mean, as part of the work that I do, we see, because colorectal is one of our major clinical themes in the organization that I work with. So I'm familiar with some of the competitors that you mentioned on there. But I guess my sort of key question, one of the questions I want to sort of ask is around sustainability, because obviously you've mentioned the sort of single use, the tips themselves are single use. So are there any other plans in the future to consider sustainability? Because I know certainly here from the NHS side, we're starting to look more and more into working with companies and devices that are more sustainable. So what are your plans for that?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's actually a very interesting question, and we have thought a lot about this point. We have, from the really beginning of the company and development of the technology, we thought about if it was a better idea to create disposable devices or reusable devices. The point is that in our specific field, if you want to reuse the device, you have to start a very costly process to clean and disinfect all the device, because you have to use the same device to introduce it again inside the body of the patient. So we discovered that it was more clean to build disposable devices rather than reusable. In fact, one of the things that we are putting in place is a system to recycle the devices that were used once upon a time, right? But we are not going to allow the hospitals doing that, because in hospitals that will be very expensive, especially from the environmental point of view.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, thank you for that, because that's what I was thinking along the lines of, is whether you're going to get those tips back and then you obviously figure out what to do with them. And my only other question would be, I mean, we look forward to seeing the results of your first-in-man trials, but you know, and obviously you're doing that in Spain. Are there then plans to sort of expand other evaluation studies across Europe?
Yes, actually, this is the thing that we are planning to do in our second stage studies. First of all, we want to do in early 2022 a very small study with 65 patients in Barcelona, but then we are arranging a huge clinical trial with 1,000 patients that will be in Lisbon, Barcelona, Cologne in Germany, and Leuven in Belgium.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, I actually had the same question as the last one, Fee, because I really wanted to know how that internationally would be expandable. But more from a business point of view, this is all going to be licensed, patent, everything under certify you, because you are dealing in a market, of course, especially as a smaller organization, to, as you've shown, extremely large competitors with a lot of money, a lot of tools, a lot of scientists, a lot of knowledge. How are you going to make sure that threat is going to stay away in the future?
Yes, also very interesting question. Thank you. Yeah, our patent covers our technology, but not only our technology. Our patent covers any use of
Okay.
microwave imaging in
Okay.
endoscopy. Okay,
Mhm.
in 7 countries: Japan, US, UK, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain.
Yeah.
And in addition, we are working now in newer patents. But the interesting point in our previous patent, our unique by now patent, is that we are covering any use of microwave imaging for endoscopy. So in the future, we can expand our operations in women's health, in arthroscopy, in pulmonary bronchoscopy, etc. So now we are focused in colonoscopy, in colorectal cancer, but in the future, we can use the same technology for any other cancer or other diseases in other therapeutic areas.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Ignacio. I think that'll be all from us for today. So thanks once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.